And when we win next November, it will be an epic political earthquake, the likes of which the world has never seen before. I want to thank Club 47 President Larry Snowden. What a great job. As well as Treasurer, where's Sue? Did she leave? She's right over here. Sue, thank you, Sue. Sue Snowden, Vice President Linda Stock, Congressman. Oh, wait a minute. We have a big celebrity here tonight. And I'll tell you something. He's great, and he loves this state. Congressman Matt Gaetz. Where the hell is Matt Gaetz? Where is he? Hello, Matt. That's pretty good, Matt. And much more importantly, Ginger, his wife, Ginger, his great wife. Thank you very much. Thanks, Ginger. A great gentleman, also a friend of mine, Palm Beach County Commissioner Michael Barnett. Michael, wherever you may be. Michael. Florida State Representative Rick Roth. Thank you. Thank you, Rick. Along with so many amazing influencers and patriots, including Bruce Lavelle. Where's Bruce? Oh, Bruce, I love. He just said we're going to get 44% of the African-American vote. That would be nice, Bruce. I think we maybe can do it. A great friend of ours, a great friend of everybody in the room, Siggy Flicker. Where is Siggy? You are unbelievable. And your husband, by the way, is a great gentleman. Thank you. What he has to put up with. Oh, I don't know how you do it. Sarah Carter. Sarah, thank you. Thank you, Sarah. Thank you very much. A friend of mine for a long time. He's been with us, I think, from the very first day in 2015, actually, before the win. Terrence Williams. Terrence. Terrence, where's Terrence? Thank you, Terrence. Great. Nice hat, Terrence. That's the new hat. That's it. Roseanne Barr, who had the #1 show on television. Where's Roseanne? Where is Roseanne? I love Roseanne Barr. Look, you skinny. You're so skinny. You look so beautiful. She had the #1 show on television. And I'll tell you, they just couldn't stand it, could they? Huh? They couldn't stand it, but everybody knows that that show was a monster. 28 million people. She doubled and tripled, and they took heat. You know, if they had 3 million, they'd be happy if it was the right person, but you are the right person. You're fantastic. That was a great, great show, and we appreciate it. Thank you, Roseanne. Special. Another great friend, Gina Loudon, Dr. Gina Loudon. Thank you, hon. Thank you. Right from the beginning, right, Gina? I think Gina right from the beginning. Somebody who's extremely shy, but really talented, and she's going places. Laura Loomer. Where's Laura? Laura. Where is Laura? She doesn't like the sanctimonious. She doesn't like the sanctus. Two very, very special people to me, and they should be. Eric and Laura Trump. And you know, Laura just did a country single, and it's one of the top songs in the country. That's pretty good, I tell you. She's fantastic. Thank you, Laura. Thank you, Eric. Thank you very much. From New Hampshire, there's nobody better with the vets than this man. He's been, again, I would say, for right from the beginning, before I even announced, he's just a fantastic guy. Al Baldessaro. Al, where are you, Al? Great guy. He's so good with the vets. They love him. The Born to Ride 45 Motorcycle Club, and these guys are tough, and they're smart, and they don't like what's happening to our country at all. Please stand up, all of you. You've got the most beautiful bikes I've ever. I wanted to grab one of those bikes, and I wanted to ride it. I was going to ride that, Ziggy. Thank you very much. I want to thank all of the motorcycle groups. We have like 100%. I think we have 100% with the cyclers, They like Trump. I don't know why. I haven't been too strong on the motorcycles. I looked at one of them the other day. I said, no, you keep riding it. But we're with them all the way. They came to the White House. We had 600,000 come to the White House. And they are really a force, and they're great people, and they love our country. Kaya Raychik, also known as Libs of TikTok. Do we know that? Kaya, thank you very much. Thank you, darling. Thank you very much. We had a lot of fun at Mar-a-Lago. And another one who's incredible. These are influencers, and they really are. They've got a lot of power. Rogan O'Handley. D.C. Drano. Do you know D.C.? I love D.C. Drano. Rogan, thank you very much. Where's Rogan? Thank you, Rogan. And so many other people. Nancy, thank you for being here. Thank you very much for being here. You've been a supporter right from the beginning. I appreciate it. And Lindsay, thank you very much. Great lawyer, great attorney, done a good job for us. Thank you, Lindsay. Appreciate it. And thank you, everybody. We have so many people out there. We got to start talking about what the hell we can do about our country, right? Because we got a lot of problems. We had no problems, and now we have a lot of problems. To think how low we've gone, I also will thank, and because we can never forget these people, the outstanding volunteers, supporters, including Belinda Kaiser, Diane Evans, and Jeff Nicky Hughes, who are former New York Democrats turned Trump supporters. We have a lot of them. They were strong Democrats, and now they're all Trump supporters. And we have a man who's 103 years old. He's the oldest veteran of World War II. I looked at him just a little while ago. I shook his hand, took a picture. He's better looking than I am, and I think he's just amazing. Bruno Gallerani. Bruno, where are you? Bruno Gallerani. Thank you very much, Bruno. He's 103. Where is he? Incredible. I'm telling you, he looks much, much better than me. You could have been president, Bruno. With the help of everyone here tonight, 96 days from now, we're going to win the Iowa caucus, where by the way, we're up about 48 points or something like that. Then we're going to win the New Hampshire primary, where we're up 51 points on DeSanctimonious and the whole group. These people, you know, the debates were there goes Fox. They're going to turn off. The debates were the lowest rated debate ever in the history, because everyone knows what the result is going to be. I don't want to say it too strongly, because you never really know, do you? But they had the lowest rated debate in history. We were very proud of that. In the meantime, we were working with the auto workers. We were doing rallies all over the place. And the level of support that we have, I don't think we've never seen anything like it. Bigger than 2016, bigger than 2020. I think we can say that, right? I think we can say it. Bigger than 2016. I've never seen anything like it, because they see how grossly incompetent these people are that are running our country. They're running it into the ground. We're not going to have a country pretty soon the way they're going. But we're going to win the South, and we're going to win South Carolina. We start that. That'll be next. And we're way up where we have a former governor, Bird Brain. We have, remember, I will not ever run against our president. He was the greatest president of our lifetime. I will not run. That was Nikki. I will not run against him. 3 months later, I've decided to run. Bird Brain. And Tim, who's a good guy, Tim Scott, is running. And yet, despite that, we're up 54 points. Can you imagine that? 54 in South Carolina with a great governor. We have a great governor there. Henry McMaster, he was supportive of me right from the beginning. In fact, I thought Nikki would be, and I got the best. I got a man who's been a fantastic governor of South Carolina, Henry. We're going to win a lot of other things in a lot of other states, and then we come down to Florida, where we're leading numbers nobody can believe. We're leading by 58 points. 58 points. No, not the future of the party. That was, remember, he always the future of the party. I don't think so. MAGA's never going to forget. You know, when you get somebody elected, you don't run. You just say, no, I'll wait for another 4 years. I'll wait. And it's a thing called loyalty. And all of my people backstage, they said, sir, nobody cares about loyalty in politics. I said, I think they do. And he came to me, Ron, he came to me, sir, he was at 3%. Think of it, 3%. And the Secretary of Agriculture, Adam Putnam, nice guy, but I didn't know him, he was at 44%. Other than that, it was a very close race. Adam Putnam had $32 million. Ron had 32 cents. He had nothing. I said, Ron, if I was George Washington or Abraham Lincoln and I came back from the dead and I combined, I couldn't get you elected. You're finished, man. You're not, it's not working. 3%. He said, sir, you're very popular in Florida. If you endorse me, I think I can win. And I didn't know Adam Putnam, so I said, what the hell? Let's just do it. I took a little flyer, then I endorsed him. He went up 71 points in one day, and then he won the primary, and then I held rallies because the hottest politician in the country happened to be, as you know, he turned out to be a crackhead, but these are minor details. He was the hottest in the whole country. It was Stacey Abrams, female, and this young gentleman. And Ron said, I won't be able to beat him. I said, you will, because we'll do rallies. We'll do a couple of rallies for you. We did. We had unbelievable crowds turn out. I said, you're going to win. He said, I don't think so. And he won. He won. Then 4 years later, they said, will you run against the president? And he said, I have no comment. I said, no comment. You know what that means, Sue and Larry? That means yes. So we hit him very hard. People said, please don't hit him, sir. He's a Republican. I said, I don't care if he's a Republican. We're going to hit him. And he didn't have a lot of political skill, to put it mildly. And now he's falling, like I said the other day, falling like a very badly injured bird from the sky. And in one state, he's actually in 5th place. He's in 5th place. This has not been a good situation. I think he blew it in 4 years. You never know what's going to happen. But in 28, I don't see it happening. I don't see it. But I can never forget, because that's great disloyalty. I have others that were disloyal. Most are great. But we have some other people. One happens to be a governor of another state, not too far away. And, you get these guys elected, and then they say, I'll run against them. And we don't like that. I don't think the room here likes that, do they? Huh? I don't think so. But he started off hot. He was losing by a lot. And, we got more votes, by 1.2 million votes, than he did. I don't know. Nobody ever talks about that. We got, in fact, Gina, you mentioned it to me, we got 1.2 million more votes than Ron DeSanctimonious in the state of Florida. And nobody ever says that. The press, the fake news, that's a lot of fake news back there. But they never say that. The only way they'll do it is if I say it. You might as well say it yourself, because they're never going to say it. Next November, we're going to win the White House. It's going to be one of the greatest triumphs in the history of politics. Making America great again will begin with making America strong again and making America safe again. Under my leadership, the world was peaceful and calm because America was respected. The president was respected. I dealt with the strongest people in the world. They were smart. They were streetwise. They respected me. I respected them. They had different viewpoints. That's certainly true. But they were afraid of America. Today, they laugh at our country. They laugh. With crooked Joe Biden, you have chaos, bloodshed, war, terror, and death. Look what's happening today. Because the occupant of the White House is a laughingstock. All over the world, America's enemies cannot believe how lucky they got. They got real lucky. Every monster, villain, dictator, and terrorist, and there are plenty of them. I know most of them. I got to know a lot of them. All over the planet, they're having a field day because they know they will never have it better than they do with Crooked Joe, who in many cases receive money from those countries. I wonder what that's all about. Do you remember during the debate with Chris Wallace, how's he doing? He's not doing too well. I said, I want to ask him a question. What is it? How come he received $3.5 million from the mayor of Moscow's wife? He got $3.5 million, and he's going, but Chris Wallace saved him. You shouldn't ask that question. That has nothing to do with anything. Well, about 2 months ago, it became the biggest subject. They're trying to figure it out now, and I will tell you that Jamie Comer and Jim Jordan and the group, they're doing a very good job. They found out things that nobody can believe. And Matt Gaetz, too, by the way. Where's Matt? Matt is in there. He's strong and tough and smart. 3 years ago, you went from I shouldn't be saying this, but what the hell? You went from the strongest president this country has had to the weakest president you've ever had. But soon you will go from the weakest president you've ever had back to the strongest president you've ever had. We have so many problems. We have so many problems in our country. You remember during the debate, I don't call her Crooked Hillary anymore. I use that now. I never like to use the same so I took it off Crooked Hillary. That was one of the best days in her life. I understand they celebrated. We now call her Beautiful Hillary. She's a beautiful woman. And we used the crooked word for Joe Biden, Crooked Joe. We took sleepy off because I think he's sleepy. He's definitely sleepy, but he's more crooked than he is sleepy. But Hillary Clinton said that she accused me during the debate. With his personality, he's going to start a war. And yet it turned out to be just the opposite. With my personality, there were no wars. You wouldn't have had Ukraine. You wouldn't have had any of them. In fact, it's the first time in 70 years, and on top of everything else, we beat 100% of the ISIS caliphate. We beat them down. Just remember how much safer the world was under the Trump administration. After so many years of beheadings, bedlam, slaughter in the Middle East, we completely obliterated the ISIS territorial caliphate, and we did it in a matter of weeks. We did it very quickly. We have a great military. They're trying to turn it woke. It's not going to happen. But we have I'm not talking about the television generals that don't know what they're doing. I'm talking about the real generals in our military. We wiped them out. We wiped them out in a short period of time. Everyone said it was going to take 3 years. I said, really? I don't think so. I flew to Iraq, and I met the generals that were in charge, that I put in charge, and they said, sir, I think we can do it in about 4 weeks. I said, really? Everyone else is saying 3 years and maybe we can't do it. Sir, we'll have time left over, 4 weeks, sir. And they did it. They knocked the hell out of him. We killed the founder of the ISIS movement, al-Baghdadi. Remember al-Baghdadi, the biggest of them all? And then we terminated the world's top terrorist, the Iranian butcher, Soleimani. You remember that, the Iranian butcher? He is the one that they call him the father of the roadside bomb. When you see a soldier walking around, a person walking around with no legs, no arms, or a face that's been absolutely obliterated, it was Soleimani that did it. He was responsible for about 94% of the bombs that were made in Iran. I withdrew from the disastrous Iran nuclear deal and imposed the toughest ever sanctions on the murderous Iranian regime. They never had it so bad. We decimated their finance and choked off the money to pay to the terrorist thugs. And look what happened now. I was also proud to be the best friend Israel has ever had in the White House by far. And if the election wasn't rigged, there would be nobody even thinking about going into Israel. The election was rigged, very sadly rigged. But we'll swamp them the next time, and it'll be bigger than anybody has ever seen. Just as I promised, I recognized the eternal capital of Israel and opened the American embassy in Jerusalem and got the building built for slightly less than they thought. It was going to cost $2 billion. We got it done for $500,000. I would say that's good. I said, do we have any used buildings around? Yes, we had a better location. They're going to pay a fortune for a crummy location in Jerusalem, not a good location. Then I said, what do we have? We have a building in a great location, sir. We don't have to pay $300 million for the land. We have it. And there's a building on it, an old building, but structurally sound. I said, let me see. And we worked it out. They came back, sir, I think we can do it for $400,000. I said, man, does that sound cheap? It actually sounds, first time I've ever done this. I said, let's do it for $500,000. Remember, they're going to spend $2 billion on building a building. So crazy. I got it built in 4 months, and we have an embassy that, frankly, if they spent $2 billion, it wouldn't be nicer. All Jerusalem stone. A friend of mine is in an office building in New York. All he talks about is Jerusalem stone. I have Jerusalem stone all over my office. And so when I heard we're building in Jerusalem, I asked our people, so can you get Jerusalem stone, and is it expensive? And they said, it's not expensive, it's Jerusalem. It's Jerusalem stone. We did the whole damn building in Jerusalem Stone, and it's beautiful. It's a beautiful building. So we got it built, but I also recognized Israeli sovereignty over the Golan Heights. So we're working on that for 58 years. 58. And with the historic Abraham Accords, we even had peace in the Middle East. We were peace. We had peace. And I fought for Israel like no president in history, but then crooked Joe Biden came along and tossed Israel to the bloodthirsty jihadists. That's what happened. He gave them, no, he wouldn't even call up the prime minister. They called him. It's a very sad thing when you look at what happened. What a difference a president makes. Isn't it incredible? Just a president. What a difference. The savage attacks on Israel happened for 3 reasons. Biden loosened my tough sanctions on Iran and allowed them to sell massive amounts of oil, making them $80 billion a year. Congratulations. They were making nothing with us. They were going to make a deal. We would have had a deal within 1 week after the election. They were desperate. They wanted to make a deal. The U.S. then gave Iran just a few weeks ago $6 billion as ransom money. You know that, right? 5 people. Good deal. This is the way we deal. They get 5 hostages. We get 5 hostages. I said, all right. Plus, they get $6 billion. That's not a good deal, is it? And it's used for exactly what you're watching right now on television and reading in the papers. Under my leadership, Iran was weak and broke and desperate for love. They wanted love. They were weak and they were broke. And now they're rich as hell. They got hundreds of billions of dollars. And you have a whole new country. And they're probably 90 days away from having a nuclear weapon. And we have a man who's grossly incompetent, who can't put 2 sentences together. And he's the one that's leading our nation in talks. In fact, until just a little while ago, he was getting absolutely decimated. He never even mentioned the word Iran in any of his talks. Didn't want to talk about it. But nobody under me was allowed to buy oil. I told China, they were the biggest purchaser of oil in Iran. I said, if you buy oil, any oil from Iran, we're never doing business. You have all the stuff that you take out of this country and rip us off. We're not going to do any more business with China. They stopped immediately. No more oil. I said it to India. I said it to many different countries. And they went way down, way, way down. And they had no money. And they wanted to talk. And they wouldn't have done anything. It's just like Russia wouldn't have done anything. For 2 reasons. I said, Putin, you're not going to do it. We're not going to do it. I got along with him very good. You know, I actually got along with the tough guys the best. The weak people I didn't get along with. It's sort of a weird deal. But I got along with him very well, actually. But I said, you can't do it, Vladimir. You can't do it. It was the apple of his eye. But he never did, and he wouldn't have done it. I said, don't do it. But you know what happened when oil went to $100 a barrel? And by the way, it's right there right now. Think of it. Biden wants to stop the war with Ukraine, and yet he's created a mess for oil that's so much that Russia will be the first country. Even if that happened, that would never have happened with us. We were at $40 a barrel. We had, think of it, we had $1.87 a gallon for gasoline. Today you have $5, $6, and $7. But then we had that horrible election, that rigged, horrible election where they used COVID to cheat, and crooked Joe Biden allowed Iran to flourish. They flourished. They absolutely flourished so beautifully. Tens of millions of barrels a month were instantly being sold, with China being by far their biggest customer. They didn't have to worry about Trump anymore, you know. They know what happened in the election. They probably helped the election along. Although I got along very well with President Xi until COVID. That was a step too far. They went from losing money to making $100 billion a year in an instant. That's bigger than the $6 billion, but the $6 billion was so obvious. How stupid are they? They became rich and powerful, and then there were the trade of the hostages. I said 5 for 5, but we also agree to give them $6 billion, which set a terrible precedent, and which they said will only be used for medical and other reasons, our people. And then the leader of Iran said, no, We'll use this money for any damn thing we want. And the Biden administration didn't want to respond to that. Now, a terrible precedent was set. You know, when you start paying for hostages, I got back 58 hostages, including from North Korea, which is tough. We never had to pay a dime, because if you have to pay for hostages, the precedent is set. And now we paid $6 billion for 5 hostages. Remember what they say, the number one phrase out there, and again, I mean, you can look at it, the fake news looks at it, oh, they're trying to prove me wrong so much. Trump was right about everything. They even have a hat that says Trump was right about everything, and I don't make the hat. And unfortunately, we're the most corrupt and incompetent president in our history. We're closer to World War III than anyone can understand. There's never been a time where we've been closer. We're inches away, and we have a man that literally can't speak. He can't get off a stage. The other day, he tried to get off a stage. Now, look, I'm up here now. There are a lot of people. There's a lot of television going crazy. There's so much. I'm up here. But, you know, when I'm finished, I'm going to look over there. I'm going to see an exit. I'm going to look over there. I can take that one. And what I can't do is walk through the back wall. Then he turned her. Did you see the other day? Thank you. You know what happens after about 20 minutes, the stuff that he's taking wears off, so it gets really bad. Gets a little groggy. Gets a little bit groggy. They say, get him off the stage. That shit's wearing off, man. Get him off. No. And I'm sure that the cocaine that they found in the White House, that nobody, I'm sure, I feel certain it had nothing to do with Hunter and Joe, by the way. Here, Dad, have a little of this stuff. It's going to liven you up a little bit. Can you imagine they found a stash that you wouldn't believe, and nobody laid claim to it? That was forgotten, just like the laptop from hell was left at the office, right? He didn't want to pick it up. Wouldn't it have been great if he went to that shop and he said, I'd like my laptop, please? Be a different world, wouldn't it? Huh? They have every single crime listed. You know, the father said, son, Hunter, I love you very much. What's on the laptop? Is there anything bad? What's on? Dad, I hate to say this, every single crime that we've committed is on the laptop. I don't have that with this guy right here, with Eric. The $6 billion was a tremendous amount of money, but nothing compared to the hundreds of billions of dollars that Biden allowed them to make in oil and other things. Hundreds of billions. They became a rich nation in 3 years. That's why they're doing this. They have so much money, they don't know what to do with it. They had no money. They were broke. And then there was the inevitable attack 4 days later, which I predicted. And then 2 nights ago, I read all of Biden's security people. Can you imagine? National defense people. And they said, gee, I hope Hezbollah doesn't attack from the north, because that's the most vulnerable spot. I said, wait a minute. You know, Hezbollah is very smart. They're all very smart. The press doesn't like when they say it. You know, I said that President Xi of China, 1.4 billion people, he controls it with an iron fist. I said, he's a very smart man. They killed me the next day. I said he was smart. What am I going to say? But Hezbollah, they're very smart. And they have a national defense minister or somebody saying, I hope Hezbollah doesn't attack us from the north. So the following morning they attacked. They might not have been doing it, but if you listen to this jerk, you would attack from the north, because he said that's our weak spot. Whoever heard of officials saying on television that they hope the enemy doesn't attack in a certain area? Now, unless it's a con job. But you know what a con job is? You're waiting there ready. You want them if you want them, but they weren't ready. They weren't ready. You know, say what you want. Israel was not ready. This was a big surprise. This was a terrible thing that happened. They weren't ready. But if you wanted them to attack because you've got 1 million people there with guns and you're going to blast the hell, then you do exactly. But they didn't have that. They didn't have that. Biden's national security advisor, Jake Sullivan, even bragged just days before the attack that the Middle East seems to be quite quiet. That was good. They really, honestly, what they've done, it's a shame. You look at the world with all of the problems in this world. We had a country, we had no inflation, we had no Russia and Ukraine, we had no Israel problems. We had the strongest economy in history. We got you the biggest tax cuts in the history of our country. Think of it, biggest regulation cuts. We had the most people employed. We had something that nobody else, had ever done. We had one of the most successful presidencies in history. We rebuilt our entire military. We didn't have Afghanistan. I was taking them out, but we were going to be taking them out with dignity and with pride and tremendous success. Instead, it was the worst, probably the most embarrassing day in the history of our country. The press doesn't talk about it. The media doesn't talk about it, but we talk about it. Most embarrassing day in the history of our country. Crooked Joe must take back and freeze the $6 billion right now. Take it back and freeze it, Joe. Freeze it, Joe, you dumb person. Dumb person. Freeze that money, Joe. He doesn't know what the hell money I'm talking about. Freeze it, Joe. You know, it's not too late because supposedly it's doing a transfer, and that takes a little while. He can freeze the damn money. What they did is unacceptable. In addition, Biden must immediately halt all funding to corrupt Palestinian entities that support these savage terrorists, which, if you remember, I stopped it because we were paying them about $750 million a year to the Palestinians. And they were really nasty. They were saying that death to America, death to America. And I heard about this. I said, are we actually paying them money? Yes, sir, we have for many years, sir. How much? About $750 million to the Palestinians. That's a lot. And I said, if they say anything again, we immediately stop it. Within about 2 minutes, they happen to say something, you know. Death, we want death for America. We want death for Israel. And so I stopped the money. And we would have had a deal with them, too, because I stopped the money. And I said, until we have a deal, I'm not negotiating. And I moved the embassy. That set them off a little bit, but they were okay with it. You know, remember when I did that? Every president promised they were going to put the embassy in Jerusalem. Every single, for decades and decades. Clinton said it, Bush said it, everybody said it. Nobody did it but me. Nobody did it but me. Because, you know, I was called, once I got to office and once they heard we were even thinking about it, I was called by every leader in the world practically. Please don't do it, sir. Especially in a certain part of the world. Please don't do it. They said, please, sir, do not do it. So what happened is I went out and I got a lot of calls from heads of state, from kings, from presidents, from prime ministers, because they heard I was going to do it. So I said, I don't like telling people no. I tell them I'll call them back on Monday. And they call up the head of, I don't want to use any names, the head of a big, powerful country is calling, sir, wants to talk to you about that deal, about the embassy going to Jerusalem. Because, you know, I could see why the other presidents didn't do it, because it was tremendous pressure. I said, tell them I'll call them back. This was on a Thursday. I'll call them back on Monday at sometime in the afternoon. And I had about 15 people I had to call back. And on Monday morning, I approved it. Then I called them back. Hi, what's going on? Hey, how you feeling? Everything good? I called you about this, but it's too late, sir. You've already done it. Oh, sorry about that. Otherwise, it would have been very tough. And you know what? There was no problem with it. Everybody said, oh, it's going to be a disaster. No problem with it. But I kept my word. I said I was going to do it, and I got it done, Larry, right? So we got it done. There wasn't any games. And when I'm back in the White House, we will cut off every penny of Palestinian terrorists. And they don't even cut it off. They don't cut the money off. They keep paying them. It's like with the World Health Organization. We paid $500 million a year. That's peanuts compared to some of the numbers, the stupid numbers that you see. I saw so many stupid things. I said, who makes these deals? So the World Health, WHO, with COVID, with all the problems, they were way late. So we paid $500 million a year. Let's say we have 350 million people. We have no idea how many people we have because they're pouring in at a level that changes every hour. Millions and millions of people are pouring in. But let's say we have 350 million, probably a correct number. They say 325, but probably they have no idea who's here, and bad ones are coming in. China has 1.4 billion people. So China pays $30 million a year. We pay almost $500 million a year. And I said, what the hell is that all about? So I got out, and I got a call from the head of the World Health Organization, the doctor. Sir, we want you back very badly. It sets a horrible precedent when you get out. I said, number one, we pay too much. Why are we paying $500 million and China's paying 30? Well, sir, we'll reduce it. How much? They said, we'll take $250 million off. I said, that was quick. This is just like a phone call. I said, no, I don't want to do it. How about we'll take it down to $100 million? I said, wow. Except I got such support from people like you, not from all people, but from people like you that are smart and practical. So I sort of didn't want to do it. And then I said, would you make it so we pay the same $30 million that China pays? Yes, sir, we'll do that. And then I left it anyway, despite that, because it was so bad. I left it. And then the other day, and everybody knew it, the other day I read where they went back into the World Health Organization for the same price as they were always paying, $500 million. Now, they read the papers. They could have seen we could have come in there for peanuts. And you know what? That money, as much as it is, $500 million, it's nothing compared to the billions and trillions of dollars that we waste. But it's emblematic of stupid people, very stupid people. It's emblematic. They could have done it for 30, or they went back, I guess, for 450, whatever the maximum amount that we were paying. Under my leadership, the United States will fully support Israel defeating, dismantling, and permanently destroying the terrorist group Hamas. Thank you very much. And I'm glad it's such, because this is the worst microphone I think I've ever had. I hope you can hear me back there. Justin, don't pay the bill for this mic. I'm blowing out my voice talking to this stupid mic. This is the worst mic I've ever had. Okay, now we'll get back to the speech. I'm trying to get their attention. Turn up the mic. Is it okay? And then I don't pay a bill, and they say, Trump doesn't pay his contractors. You know, it's unbelievable. It's a rotten, lousy mic. The state of it, but it's not my deal. It's not my deal. I have a good mic. I always have. You don't have a good mic, it's a very difficult deal. You walk out for 2 weeks, you're talking, you say, what the hell happened to his voice? The state of Israel is a blessing to the world. Our prayers are with them now in this terrible, terrible time. Ziggy, that's great. Ziggy, you're amazing. One of the greatest people in the world, Ziggy. She's got more. Look at her. She's crying. We love her. You got the greatest woman, the greatest wife. Under my leadership, we will stand with Israel 100%, and we will not let them fail. Don't forget, you know, I did have a bad experience with Israel, though. When we took out Soleimani, it was us and Israel working as a group. And we knew where he was. We knew how he was coming in. We knew the plane. We knew everything. We worked on it for weeks, for months, actually, but we worked on it for weeks. And the night before, I don't think this has ever been told. They'll say, oh, it's classified information. Well, maybe it is, but I don't think so. The night before this happened, and by the way, Biden's got a lot of problem with those documents. He's moving them to Chinatown. He's moved them all over. I didn't. And I come under the Presidential Records Act. He doesn't. He doesn't, because he was vice president and he was a senator. As a senator, you're not allowed to do it. As a president, I am, because I come under the president. I can do whatever I want, but I did nothing wrong. And then they go after me, but they don't go after him. But we'll see what happens. But with all of the different things that happened, we took abuse like nobody, and we had to do this because we heard Soleimani was going to be blowing up 5 of our really big military bases in areas all over the Middle East. He was going to be blowing them up. He was a very bad guy, very smart guy, but very bad guy. He was the leader of their military for a long time. In fact, the Ayatollah, they were all afraid of him. I actually think they were happy when this happened, okay? I think they were happy. I remember the Prime Minister of Pakistan said to me it was the biggest event in the history of the Middle East. This is big stuff. This was a big event. He said, I left my office, Khan, a very good man. He left his office. He said, I went home. This was the biggest event in my life. And he was a great cricket player. He was like the Willie Mays, the Mickey Mantle, the Babe Ruth of cricket. He was a great cricket player. He became handsome guy, great guy. He became the Prime Minister of Pakistan. He said, when I heard that he was dead, this was the biggest event I've ever seen, I've ever been involved in. And I left my office and I went home for 1 week and I contemplated. He said, I've never seen anything like it. It was big stuff. This was much bigger than anybody, but we had to do it. He was going to blow up our installations all over, kill many people, many, many people, and wounded people beyond recognition. And Israel was going to do this with us, and it was being planned and working on it for months, and now we had everything all set to go. And the night before it happened, I got a call that Israel will not be participating in this attack. Nobody's heard this story before, but I like to tell it to Club 47 because you've been so loyal and so beautiful. Television, they're real stiffs, real dubs. But these guys are warriors. They don't want to be on television. They want to win fights, okay? They want to win battles. And I said to him, General, what do you want to do? Sir, we can do whatever you'd like to do, sir. We can finish it ourselves, sir, if you'd like. I said, well, do we need them? Not at all, sir. I said, so what do you want to do, General? Sir, we have it under control if you want to do it. If you don't want to do it, we understand. Whatever you say, sir, is okay with us. I said, let's do it. Let's do it. Well, let's do it. Because what this guy did to our soldiers, what this guy did to so many people, including many civilians, including many of his own people, just blew them to pieces by the tens of thousands. Let's do it. And he came on in the plane, and we followed him right from the Situation Room. We followed the whole thing, and about 15 seconds later, it was all over, and we did it. But I'll never forget that Bibi Netanyahu let us down. That was a very terrible thing, I will say that. And so when I see sometimes the intelligence, you talk about the intelligence, or you talk about some of the things that went wrong over the last week, they've got to straighten it out because they're fighting potentially a very big force. They're fighting potentially Iran. And when they have people saying the wrong things, everything they say is being digested by these people because they're vicious and they're smart. And boy, are they vicious, because nobody's ever seen the kind of sight that we've seen. Nobody's ever seen it. But they cannot play games. So we were disappointed by that, very disappointed, but we did the job ourselves, and it was absolute precision, magnificent, beautiful job. And then Bibi tried to take credit for it. That wasn't good. That didn't make me feel too good, but that's all right. So they got to strengthen themselves up because they're fighting a big force. And, you know, Iran's got close to a 3 million person army, military. That's big stuff. You know, that's no longer the minor leagues. We had them so in check, they wouldn't do a thing against us. They wouldn't do a thing. They wanted to make a deal so badly. If that election wasn't rigged, we would have had that thing done so fast, and you wouldn't have any of these problems. But you would have never, ever had anybody attacking Israel if I were president. It wouldn't have happened. It wouldn't have happened. And when you look at the death, I mean, hundreds of Israeli soldiers are dead. Hundreds of people in their homes, they were attacked. Nobody's ever seen anything like it. Nobody thought it was possible. And so they're going to have to step up their game, and the United States is going to have to step up its game because we're really led by the wrong people. We're led by people that don't know what's happening, and they don't know how to lead, and they're not respected, and it's a very hard thing. But it could ultimately lead to World War III. A man who's incapable, a man who's got virtually no brain, a man who shouldn't be in that position could very well lead us into World War III, and this is weaponry the likes of which nobody in this room can even imagine. Weaponry that's so powerful that it's the obliteration of the world. It could be the obliteration of the world. And we need our best, and we need our brightest, we need our smartest. And we have, I think, absolutely the absolute worst. You know, Joe, if you go back 30 years, was considered a dummy. He was considered a dummy, a glad hand. He was considered a glad hand. And Ted Kennedy, believe it or not, was a friend of mine. I met him through Palm Beach. They had a big house, a compound. They call it the Kennedy compound. And I had a very nice house also. But I got to know him very well, and he liked me. And I one time asked him, who's the smartest guy in the U.S. Senate? He was a smart guy, by the way, Ted Kennedy, very smart, great politician. And I said, who's the smartest guy in the Senate? And we were friends. I did him a big favor, I will tell you that. Big, big favor, really big. And it wasn't hard for me to do, but it was very big and important for him. And he liked me, and I liked him. I said, who's the smartest in the Senate? And he gave me a name, but I won't tell you because I can't stand the guy, actually. Still around. Can't stand him. I was disappointed to hear that name. I said, who's the dumbest in the Senate? He goes, I don't know, let's see. Probably Joe. I said, who's Joe? He said, Joe Biden. Can you, this is 25, 30 years ago, a long time ago. I think it was one of the early times I've ever heard the name. And that was in prime time for him, but this is in prime time. Joe gave us the war on Israel and the war on American energy. What he did to our energy was we were energy independent. Think of it as president, I will shut off Iranian oil and I will turn on American oil, and we will drill, baby, drill, and we'll get things back to where they are supposed to be. And in addition, I will immediately begin the process of building a state-of-the-art missile defense shield in America. We need a missile defense shield because we have people out there that are bad people. And, you know, it was our technology. And if you look at Israel, it wouldn't even exist if they didn't have that. It's amazing how incredible they are, Dan Scavino, don't you think? Dan Scavino, ladies and gentlemen, the most powerful man in politics. Stand up. Most powerful man. And all of his friends, they are great. I could go to Madison Avenue, pay millions of dollars, and they don't have near the talent that Dan and D.C. Drano and you, the libs, you. Holy mackerel, what a group of geniuses they are. I go to say, sir, we want $1 million for that campaign or more. And they'd show me a campaign that's so bad. These guys, I'll tell you, look at my man there. Stand up. Most powerful man. Come here, stand up. Not you, Bruce. I'll tell you, they come up with things, DC. They come up with things that are just absolutely incredible. Nobody can do it. I put a lot of them out. I put them out on Truth. I hope everybody's on Truth, because Truth is where it's at. Truth is where it's at. Truth is really where it's a hot situation. That's incredible, actually. But we put things up that these people do. I don't know, they do it in their bed, they write, draw, the stuff they do. Gina is so incredible, it's so brilliant, it's so genius, and Dan coordinates things. It's been amazing. We've had a lot of fun together, Dan, but he's the most powerful guy. I say that because I want to keep his fees down a little bit, you know? You've done a great job, Dan. Thank you very much. And you've kept it very interesting. The recent terror attacks are also a reminder of the deadly dangers that we face from Joe Biden's demolition of our own borders here on American soil. Can you imagine what's happening with these people pouring in? Under Biden, the same people that attacked Israel, killing, raping, torturing, and maiming innocent civilians, are right now pouring into our once beautiful USA. I have to say that, once beautiful, because what's happened to our country in 3 years is not even to be believed. But they're pouring in through totally open southern borders, and they're coming in at numbers that are not being reported by the fake news correctly. They're coming in many, many millions, close to 15 million in my opinion. They're flooding in from Afghanistan, Yemen, Syria, Somalia, Iraq, Iran, unscreened, unvetted, and totally uncontrolled. And many of them are young men, young, strong men. They're not a lot of women. They're not bringing women. They're men. I said, look at all the men. What's going on here? And I look at what's happening in Israel, and I say, are they looking to do the same thing over here? They're also coming in from China, vast numbers of people, men coming in from China. We will be paying the price for years to come if we don't get them out immediately. Under my administration, you not only had the most secure border in history, we have to get them. We have to get them out. We're going to have the largest deportation movement in the history of our country. We have no choice. I also gave you a very strong, powerful travel ban to keep jihadists, extremists, and radical Islamic terrorists the hell out of our country. We want them out. And it worked. And it worked. So we had 4 years. Did anybody notice any problems? We had no problem. You're going to have some problems. If we don't win, this country is going to be fire hell. It's going to be in big trouble. We had no problems. Think of it, for 4 years. I would never talk about it during the term. I'd say, you know, we went 3 years. We have no problem. The last thing I want to do is say, oh, we went 3 years, and then something horrible happens, a World Trade Center tragedy or something. We had no problems. We were tough, and we kept them out. We don't want our people killed. We don't want our shopping centers blown up. We don't want the problems that some people bring. You take a look at what's happening in other countries. When we get back in, I will immediately reimpose the Trump travel ban on entry from terrorist countries. And we will make it even stronger, although it can't get a hell of a lot strong, I'll be honest. It was very strong. I took a lot of heat over that one. That's not nice. Yeah, that's not nice. Well, blowing up our shopping centers isn't nice either. Upon my inauguration, we will quickly seal the border and terminate every open borders policy of crooked Joe Biden. And we will carry out the largest domestic deportation operation in American history. It's amazing how the microphone got so much better. Sometimes you have to shake people up. But that includes getting all of the illegal aliens from countries that hate us, that hate our values, and sending them back to the places from which they came. We'll send them back. Bye-bye. Bye. Bye-bye. Instead of keeping terrorists and terrorist sympathizers out of America, the Biden administration is inviting them in. You know why? Because he's got a boss. Who's his boss? Barack Hussein Obama. Barack Hussein. Barack Hussein Obama. Remember the great Rush Limbaugh? Barack Hussein Obama. Here you go, Barack Hussein Obama. Hello, Lee. Unbelievably, the corrupt Biden Department of Justice recently invited an Iranian-backed judge from Iraq to visit our nation's capital. Isn't that nice? He couldn't have been too impressed with our capital. It looks like shit. No, have you seen what they've done to it? And we're doing a federal takeover of our capital. We're going to put it back into condition. We're going to stop the murders that are happening every day. We're going to stop all of the murders, all of the crime. We're going to polish it up. We're going to put in brand new limestone where the limestone's been destroyed. We're going to make that capital the most beautiful capital again in the world. Even though I'm being tried for something, I haven't figured that one out. I don't even, oh, they're trying me because I said something about the election, I think. They want to say that, well, first of all, that's an easy one to win because that was the most corrupt election, and we have such proof of it. But they're trying me. And the jury comes from Washington, D.C. And I want to do a federal takeover of Washington, D.C. to stop the crime and to make it great again, to make it magnificent again. I used to do it in real estate very well, and this is just a large real estate deal. We want to make it gorgeous again. You look and you have graffiti on those beautiful marble columns, and you have tents all over the place. You have tents, and the homeless, we got to take care of the homeless. But they can't do it there. They can't be in our beautiful parks. They can't be resting at the base of the Washington Monument and making it so that nobody wants to go there anymore. Nobody wants to go there anymore, and they're very unsafe. They're killing people every night. You're reading the other night, 3 people shot. Just shot. Nobody wants that. We're going to take over the Capitol, Washington, D.C. I've been saying this for a year and a half, and we're going to get rid of all the crime. There will be no crime there. There will be no anything, and it'll be spit shine. It'll be shined up beautifully, and you'll be proud of it again. And then I'll be tried by people that live there. They'll say, I don't like this guy. This guy wants to take away the Capitol. No, I want to make our Capitol great again. We're going to make it beautiful again. The Biden Department of Justice recently invited this Iranian-backed judge from Iraq to visit our nation's capital. After that, the foreign judge issued a warrant for my arrest for blowing up the #1 terrorist in the world, Soleimani. So he came in. He was invited by this incompetent president. Please come in. And he ended up issuing an arrest for they want to arrest me because I killed the #1 terrorist in the world. What I do for you people, you have no idea. You think it's easy. You think it's easy when I call up our great First Lady and I say, First Lady, darling, how are you? Listen, I'm going to be indicted today at 5 o'clock. Oh. And she looks at me, she says, again? How many times could that? Or I call up this great young man right over here and his wife, and I say, Laura, Eric, I got a little bad news for you. What is it, Dad? For the 4th time in about 2 minutes, I'm going to be indicted. You know, Alphonse Capone, did anybody ever hear of Al Capone? The greatest of all time, right? The greatest gangster of all time. If you looked at him wrong, he'd kill you. And he'd kill you with his hands. He was a tough guy. He got indicted 1 time. I got indicted 4 times. As you know, crooked Joe Biden and his radical left thugs have weaponized law enforcement to arrest their leading political opponent, me. Not only leading, I'm beating him by 12 points. Wasn't that great? ABC, Washington Post, comes out with a poll. They pay like millions of dollars. And it shows Trump's up by 11. Now, normally you put it, Trump's up by 11. Okay, not the worst thing, right? It's good stuff. We all happy. They said Trump's up by... We disavow the poll. We disavow it. They said, ladies and gentlemen, why did they just not issue it? It would have been... They spend so much money on it. But we're up by 11, and they say, we disavow this poll. This poll is not correct. It can't be correct. Oh, my gosh, please don't make it correct. You know why? Because we want to put these people out of business. These are corrupt people. They're horrible people, and they know we're not playing any games. We got rid of Comey. We got rid of a lot of bad people. We got them out. A lot of bad people. We were doing the rest, and then we got hit with COVID, a gift from China. This is high-level election interference. This is all about election interference. I'm up by 11 points. I'm up by 67 points with the sanctimonious, but they don't care about that one. But they want to damage the person that they're running against. Because if they can damage him, even a guy like crooked Joe Biden could win. They cheated the last time. This is a new form of cheating. This is like a banana republic. Banana republics cheat, and third world countries cheat like this. They do that a lot. Election interference. They try and smidge. They try and do things. Now, and I will tell you, there's a fact. I am the only politician in the history of the world that got indicted and my numbers went up 25%. It's true. It's true. In fact, I called my people. I said, how bad is it? I get indicted. I call them the next morning. How bad is it? Tell me. How bad? They say, sir, you're up 25. I said, what? Say it again. Usually when that happens, you know what they do? They go to the microphone, like within 3 minutes of getting their subpoena and their indictment. They go to the microphone. Ladies and gentlemen, I am going back to my family where I will fight for the rest of my life to clear my name. To hell with that. You know I'm innocent. And that's the nice thing. These are made up. I call them Biden indictments. They're not indictments. They're Biden indictments. These are crooked people. I did that mugshot for Atlanta, and they also control the local AGs, and they control the DAs. I did the mugshot in Atlanta. I don't think I've ever made so much money in my life, that mugshot. No, it's a terrible thing. Honestly, it's a terrible thing. So if I win, that would mean, and I wouldn't do this, I wouldn't do it, but that would mean, okay, there's somebody, a Democrat running, he's hot, doing great, and we're going to run and we're going to beat him. I call my top people, my law enforcement people, and I say, indict him. What? For what? You can't indict. You can indict anyone. Indict him. He walked across the street wrong. He went through a red light. Indict that guy. And he gets indicted, and now he's officially out of the race. It's a disgrace. What they're doing is unthinkable. It was never supposed to happen. And in fact, almost everyone said nothing like this could ever happen. I heard they looked at two more, and the Department of Justice said, no way. Don't do it. Don't do it. Please don't indict. Because every time we go up 5, 6, 7 points. But it's a terrible thing that they're able to weaponize the Justice Department, the Attorney General, the FBI. It's a terrible thing. And I'm pleased to report that the latest poll in Florida, we're crushing them by numbers that you wouldn't even believe. We had one poll that reported so much that we can't really give you a number. That's pretty good. That's a lot. But while DeSantis has been flying around the country setting fire to his reputation and destroying the reputation, frankly, of Florida, all he's doing is campaigning. You know, when Chris Christie did that, they threw him out of New Jersey. Chris Christie, there's another beauty, Trump derangement syndrome. He's got a major case of, what are you going to do for the country? I don't like Donald Trump. I don't. You know why he doesn't like me? Because I never gave him a job. That's why I didn't like him. Because I never trusted him. I don't like Donald Trump. No, he's got Trump derangement syndrome at a level that nobody's ever seen before. He could be worse than Biden. But Florida's in the midst of an insurance crisis like never before. And this guy's flying around wasting his time. Because you know what? When you're at a level of 9, 8, and now you're in 3rd place and 4th place, and in one case he's in 5th place in one particular place. He's in 5th place. You got to be back here fixing the insurance, because the insurance is a real problem in Florida. Insurers are fleeing. You're paying sky-high rates. Seniors are getting squeezed, and families and businesses are being forced to leave your state. They're leaving. Insurance costs have more than doubled under Ron DeSanctimonious, while he's raised millions and millions of dollars from insurance companies. So he gets money from the insurance companies that he's supposed to be watching, so he can run for president and make a fool out of himself, because he's got no talent. He's got no skill. You know, one thing about running, you do need a little bit of a personality. And he's got no skill. It's been a terrible thing to watch. Actually, I love it. Now Florida families are getting clobbered while he's off in his failing campaign. But it's a failing campaign for all of them. They ought to stop, have another debate. They're doing one more debate. Let them have the debate. Nobody's going to watch it. And then they ought to get together, and we got to beat Joe Biden and these people. I mean, it's enough already. And it's time for Ron DeSantis to hang it up. You know, it's very interesting. Branding is a beautiful thing, proper branding. And the other day he was being interviewed by, I think, NBC, very straight interview. And the announcer goes, ladies and gentlemen, it's a great honor to have Governor Ron DeSantis with us. My name's DeSantis. They didn't play that. My name's DeSantis. They called him Ron DeSantis. I said, am I a good brander? I'm a pretty good brander. It's pretty crazy. We get back here, we have to take care of the people of Florida and their insurance and other problems who are really being neglected. You have a governor that's never in the state. He's up in Iowa. He's at all sorts. He's in New Hampshire. He goes to South Carolina, where he's not even registered. He doesn't even register in the polls. Instead of spending hundreds of millions of dollars attacking me and the MAGA movement, all of the money DeSantis is wasting should instead be used to defeat crooked Joe Biden next November. It should be used. They let him take a shot in 28. I don't think it's going to happen. I don't think it's going to happen. The radical left Democrats rigged and that's what happened. They rigged the presidential election of 2020, and we are not going to allow them to rig the presidential election of 2024. We want our country to be great again. We want to save our country. Every time the radical left Democrats, Marxists, communists, and fascists indict me, I consider it a great badge of honor. Thanks very much. I'm being indicted for you. I'm being indicted for you. I wonder what my father looking down from heaven says. I wonder what he says looking down from heaven. My son just got indicted 4 times. But he was smart. He'd get it faster than anybody. In New York State, the radical left, liberal Democrat judge made a statement this morning. I have another trial going. This is a civil trial, which we did absolutely nothing wrong except build a great company, much greater than the statements say, which is interesting. They have no case. But he said, Trump doesn't get a jury, whether he wants it or not. They're having a lot of fun with me, you know. He doesn't get a jury. Think of it. I'm the only guy get a trial without a jury. It's the first time they've ever used the statute. You're not entitled to a jury. That sounds fair. It would not have helped to make a motion, he said. It doesn't help to make a motion, and there is no box checking. You know, normally you check, do you want a box, do you want a jury? But there is none. But he said Trump does not get a jury. There is no box checking. And I have a trial going on, and I don't get a jury, because if I had a jury, I'd win the case very easy. I think even though it's a, considered pretty liberal area, I think I'd win the case it's a very simple case. I did absolutely nothing wrong. It's a political witch hunt. And the crooked Attorney General of New York, she's a real beauty. Letitia James, I call her Letitia. Letitia Peekaboo James. Peekaboo James. No, they used a statute that's never been used before. And this statute is so horrible. It's actually meant for totally different things and never used. And under the statute, you don't get a jury trial. Can you imagine? So I'll have a politician, Democrat, who's a judge. I sort of like him, but I don't think I probably will after the trial is over. But can you imagine that? You don't get a jury. This is communist Russia. This is a communist China. Nobody's ever heard of a thing like this. We don't get a jury. It's unthinkable. But they use this one little statute hidden away where I don't get a jury, I don't get anything. But the good news is we have such a strong case, and maybe the judge will be straight. Otherwise, I really do believe they'll overturn it. You know, we've won a lot of appeals on that case, and it's very interesting. But I have to go through this stuff. And let me tell you, if I weren't running, or if I was in 5th place, or 6th place, or 4th place, none of this would be happening. I wouldn't have been indicted 4 times or 1 time, and I wouldn't be sued all over the place for anything. Anything we can do, let's sue them. If I weren't running, or if I was doing poorly, I would have absolutely no litigation. But when you're beating the so-called, I say so-called President of the United States, when you're beating him by so much, and when you're beating all of these Republicans, they're angry too. You know, they do things that you never know. But you have governors, senators, you have all these people running. And but if I wasn't doing that, if I wasn't going to try and help you and straighten out this country, I didn't need this. I had a very nice life. You can ask the great Eric Trump. I had a very nice life, beautiful places I could go, have a good time, nice. Instead, I sit in courtrooms and campaign, but I sort of love it because we're doing something. We're saving our country. It's so much more important. We're saving our country. We're saving our country, and I love doing it. I love doing it. People ask me 2 questions. Sir, could I ask you a question? You know, what's your question? How do you take it? How do I take what? How do you take it? They indict you every time you go on television. They indict you. They indict you for nothing. I mean, you see these indictments. Many of them are just, I mean, the illegal scholars like Greg Jarrett, who's so fantastic, and so many others. They've been writing these incredible things that there's no case. There's literally no case. The DA in Manhattan, they say there's no case. Even if he was guilty, there's no case. And these charges with this Fannie, whatever her name is, in Atlanta, where they wanted to take down senators, they wanted to take down Rudy Giuliani, the greatest mayor in the history of New York. So sad to see it. It's become weaponized, and it's a very dangerous thing because, you know, it works 2 ways. The Republicans can do that, too. It's a very dangerous thing to do. Nobody thought it would be possible, but never forget our enemies want to stop us because we are the only ones who can truly stop them. That's what it is. They know we can stop them. We're going to stop them. If we don't win this election, our country, I think, is finished. I really do. Remember, I used to say all the time, we will not become a socialist country. We will never become a socialist country. And I was right. We skipped socialism. We went down to communism. We never became a socialist country. At least I was right about that. They want to take away my freedom because I will never let them take away your freedom. It's very simple. Never going to let it happen. They want to silence me because I will never let them silence you. And in the end, they're not after me, they're after you, and I just happen to be standing in their way. It's my honor to do so. Thank you. But think what our country would have been like if the election had not been rigged and so on. Just think of this. Israel would not now be under attack, would never be under attack. They'd be flourishing, they'd be happy. All of those people that are dead, right now dead, beautiful daughters and sons, fathers and mothers, babies, 44 babies had their heads cut off. Did you hear that, right? Babies, these are babies. They had their heads cut off today. But Israel would be flourishing. They would have no problem. Iran would never have played that game. Ukraine would not be under attack by Russia. Zero chance. Zero chance. Putin wouldn't have done it. I told them, Vladimir, don't do it. If you do it, bad things happen. No way. I don't want to say what I told him, but I said bad things, and I explained the bad things. He said, no way. I said, way. No way! Way. And he didn't believe me, but he believed me 10%. And the fact is, they didn't do it. They never were going to do it while I was there. 4 years, long time. They were never going to do it. We would have no hostile relationship with North Korea. We had a very good relationship with Kim Jong-un. Remember when I met with Obama, which is mandatory when you take office, the two presidents meet, lovely meeting. I said, what's your biggest problem? He said, North Korea, there's nothing you can do to stop it. I said, have you called him? Have you tried to talk to him? No. I said, maybe you should give it a chance before we end up in nuclear war. But I talked to him. We became very friendly. I was a fan of his. He was a fan of mine. A fan in the sense of we got along, okay? You know, they'll say, oh, he was a fan. They'll make it like headline. We have headlines. Trump was a fan of Kim Jong-un. We got along. He runs a country very tough. He's a very tough guy, smart guy. But he has a massive amount of nuclear weapons. But we got along. You would have had, if Hillary got in, you would have had a nuclear war. You would have had a nuclear war. We would have left Afghanistan with dignity and strength and power and pride. And I would not have been it just wouldn't have been, if you take a look at that horrible embarrassment, we wouldn't have had an embarrassment, the greatest in our history, with dead soldiers, American hostages not taken back. You have many Americans over there right now, they can't get out, and they must be living in hell. And $85 billion of military equipment left behind, $85 billion. You know, they're the second or third largest seller of arms in the world. They're selling the 70,000 trucks that we left them. You know, if you had a used car lot, the biggest in Florida, they have big ones. If they have 400 cars, it's a lot. We gave them 70,000 cars, trucks. Most of them had armor plates on. They cost millions and millions of dollars to build. We gave them 70,000. We gave them 700,000 guns and rifles. And they sell them. They sell them. We gave them goggles, night goggles. You know, they're great fighters, actually. The Afghans, the Afghanistanians, they're great fighters. They're very good fighters. They fight for, 2,000 years they fight. I remember when I first came into the White House, they said, sir, it's going to be a rough spring. Why? Well, they fight in the spring. That's what they do. They come out of the caves and they come out of the crevices in the mountains and they fight. And he said, no kidding. Do they do anything else? Like, do they go out to a ball game or anything? No, sir, they fight. They're fighters. That's what they are. But they never fought at night because they didn't have goggles. And we gave them the best goggles in the world. Better than our people. Right out of the box. Brand new stuff. Brand new. And I said to these guys, take every screw when we're leaving. We're getting ready to leave. I said, I want every bolt. I want every nut. I want every screw. I want those big hangars for the airplanes. I want them. I want every plane. I want every tank. I want every Jeep. I want everything. We're taking it all out with us.